Welcome back. Welcome to Sacred Significance. We're in episode 2 of season 3. Listen, in this particular episode, I want to see if we can't dissect a little bit of where beliefs really originate from, why they form such a very strong connection, and maybe even in some ways, let's talk a little bit about the science, how the brain gets involved, and why those what I call neural pathways get so strong over time. So you and I are going to take that apart in this particular episode. You won't want to miss it. Go get a friend and tune in. Welcome back. Welcome to Sacred Significance, episode 2 of season 3. Listen, in episode 1, we just began to define what a belief is. We talked about how it actually creates maybe a lens for us. It's most like a lens, so it affects what you see. And that's not necessarily, that I'm not intelligent enough, I'm not creating the right intention. No, it actually means that the lens itself filters out what you see so that you see certain things and certain things you miss, right? So we use rose-colored glasses to talk about how strong a belief is, that even if the snow is white, you will never see it as white. Not because you're not smart, but because your belief won't let you see it as anything other than what you believe it to be, right? That's a really important piece. So in that particular episode, we talked a lot about how that begins to create a chain of events, right? Anything that weighs in on your perception weighs in on how you begin to interpret your events, which means how you derive your meaning from life. So your perception tells you what you're looking at. Your interpretation tells you what you think about it, right? What you think and feel about it, what it means to you. And as a result, out of the perception and interpretation comes what? An expectation. How this is going to work out for me. If it's not going to work out for me, what's going to be the result of this? And with any expectation, this is a participatory world, right? So we begin to participate with our expectation, which means we act in concert with it. We behave in concert with it. We make the right choices and decisions in support of what we expect. And we do that almost organically and unconsciously, so much so that all of a sudden we have the reality we expected and we're scratching our head wondering how we got over there. But we got over there because we participated in what we expected. It's a very important part of the equation for us, okay? So today I want to talk about where those beliefs originate. Long before you actually get to choose a belief, I want you to see that most of the things you believe came from secondhand sources. They came from people, experiences that happened to you, people that spoke to you, experiences that you encountered, events, things like that. But what I want you to see is they were almost installed. They were installed by way of these particular, experiences, encounters, and you drew those conclusions. You made certain assumptions. And with those conclusions and assumptions, those beliefs got rooted deeper and deeper and deeper. So it comes from cultural, familial upbringing. It comes from things like our religious and educational systems, cultural, social background. And you'll find that a lot of the things you just believe because they were in what I would consider the water of your experience, right? So you got wet from them. And as a result, you might believe that, traditional roles work for women. Women do this, men do this. And that might be your belief system for more of a cultural, social thing. You might believe that, you have to work really, really hard to get ahead. And as a result, you got that from watching a father or a mother work really, really hard to get ahead. So these beliefs are, in this sense, almost installed without conscious choice or thought. Now, the reason this is important is because some of us can't figure out why we can't seem to get into what we really desire and why our whole world looks like it's on repeat. We get different years, but we don't have anything new. Right? We have birthdays, but we don't have anything new to show for it. And part of that is because we have an old framework that is working beneath the surface to keep giving us the exact same end result. If you've ever wondered, man, this feels like I've been here before. This is deja vu. I've lived this chapter. It's because you have, right? Because what you have are the blueprints that keeps rebuilding the same reality, keeps rebuilding the same scenario. So it's really important that we understand that beliefs are not just, some sort of, I don't know, maybe intangible kind of smoky thing that you can change easily. A belief is a neural network. It is a neurological pathway. Why is that important? Because you and I have to understand that when that belief takes root in our heart, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. It doesn't say he might be, doesn't say maybe. That is definitive. As a man thinketh in his heart, so, right? End of story. So what you have to understand is there's something there in that thought, belief, identity cycle that is really, really significant. So a belief is not something that is easily moved. It's not something that is like a puff of smoke. You can just fan it away. It's actually a neurological pathway. And we're going to talk a lot about that because I love spirituality, but I love the science. And I would love to merge some of this world for you here in sacred significance because it is important that we understand the inner working of some of these things, right? It's great to know how to pray, but let's pray with a level of wisdom that we understand how we are wired and why we were made the way we were made. So you and I have come with these kind of installation of apps on a phone. And sometimes some of them we're conscious of and some of them we are not conscious of. So that's pretty important. But I want you to understand that that belief is enforced three ways. So when the belief is installed that you didn't choose, by the way, that was a secondhand order based on somebody else's idea of what you should think and believe and how you should behave, or the experience, right, that you had that said, this is the way things are going to be. I want you to understand three ways a belief is locked in place. One is by repetition. So simply being, if you have a repeat experience and that thing happens over and over again, like the same disappointment, the same need goes unmet, like that repetition creates a very strong pathway, a very strong pathway. Have you ever been on a road that's been like a well-worn road, right? And your wheel just kind of go down in the dip of the road, right? It's like that. So a belief has that kind of capacity, right? There's just a groove there. It's just a natural groove there. And we just fall into that groove. It's really important, right? That we understand that. So number one is repetition. You can probably count the things in your life that reoccurred and why you feel so strongly about them. But the second thing to that, the thing that locks something in place, like a belief in this neurological pathway, is the emotion attached to it. So the higher the emotional intensity, the deeper the anchor. It's really important. The higher the emotional intensity of the experience, the situation, the message, glue is what emotion is, right? So it sticks. And what that emotion does is it logs that particular belief like in a deeper way, in a much, much deeper way. So we have repetition, we have emotion, and you and I both know core messages are built through emotion, right? It's not fact, it's feeling. So again, we see again how strong feelings are and what they can do. So we have repetition, we have the strong emotion of our feelings, and sometimes that belief alone that I believe something so strongly, so viscerally, we actually believe it has to be true because I believe it so strongly. Not necessarily. And we're going to talk a lot about that in the episodes coming. The final one I think that's really important is where you can have like maybe a layering effect, right? So you have a family member, maybe you go to school and have a similar experience, maybe you have the repetition, and then you have a strong emotional experience. So what I mean by that is you have a very layered effect to the same belief, right? It originated in your cultural upbringing, you encountered it again on a job, and then, outside of that, maybe there was something that happened that had a strong emotional intensity to it, right? So you can see that over time, the overlaying of these beliefs creates maybe a stronger, more deeper connection. This is maybe easily seen by just the fact that most of us go the same way to work every day, right? Now, we're talking about something really practical, but I want you to see how the groove really works. Like we have a way of doing everything because the groove is in place. We have a way of functioning. We have a way of behaving. Why? Because the groove is in place. I go to work this way. Now, the thing about the brain I want you to understand is the brain is wired for predictability and efficiency. The brain is wired for predictability and efficiency. What do I mean? It must predict outcomes, and it must do it in such an efficient way that it keeps the energy low. So what that means is the brain likes familiarity, which is why most times when you encounter somebody new or something new, you're trying to link it to something old, something familiar. You remind me of, I had a coworker just like, right? Because the brain functions by linking something familiar. Why? So we can do the shortcut. Oh, we already know you. We already know what this is going to be like. So we can just throw the shortcut down. We don't have to think about it anymore. We're going to treat you like so and so because you remind us of that individual, right? So you can see how the brain functions this way. So it loves preferences, it loves familiarity, it loves ease. So it likes to process information very quickly. How can it do that? It has to find the familiarity so it can take the shortcut. So it enjoys that. So it keeps the energy low, keeps it runs pretty efficiently. It likes patterns, which is why you and I are people of pattern. Right? We eat the same thing at the same places. We dress the same way. We go on vacation around the same time. The brain loves patterns. It loves predictability. So why is that important? Because there's something called confirmation bias. I'm just talking to you about how your beliefs can begin working around you. They can begin working without you because you have to understand they've been layered in place, they've been installed, they've been reinforced, and now the brain likes them. So what happens is there's something called confirmation bias. The brain does this through three steps. One is the brain, once it has a preference, it makes you pay attention to things that confirm what we already believe, right? So we believe I don't get on with people. People don't really like me. So 9 people can say, oh my gosh, I'd love to hang out with you, right? One person says, you and me probably wouldn't really get on. The one person is going to be the data field that the brain will show you. Why? Because it confirms what you already believe. So not only is confirmation bias a thing, the brain shows you what to pay attention to. So we're only looking for selective data. We're looking for data that confirms what we already believe. So much so, and here's the hook, we will ignore contradicting data, which means we will ignore other data that suggests what we believe is not true. Now that's something. The brain is that powerful that it shows me what to pay attention to, draws to me the right data field to support what I believe, and helps me ignore anything contradictory. Wow. What? Now, it would be bad enough if it stopped there, but there's another step. And the other step is it moves me to act in concert with what I'm paying attention to and what I'm ignoring. So it moves me in support of what I believe. So when I say confirmation bias, it's not something that's just a wiggly theory. It's actually a process that is happening all the time in a nanosecond. So it shows me what to pay attention to, what to contradict, show me what to ignore, and then how to act in support of what I believe. The brain is powerful. This explains why it's so hard to shake a habit, why it's so hard to get traction on a new behavior. So we have to begin to understand that these beliefs that you and I have that keep us moving in predictable patterns of behavior, that keep us repeating history and having the same old, and praying for a different result, praying that God would do something new. Do you have the belief system to create a new jurisdiction for possibility? That's what we're after in this season. So listen, this has been episode 2. You're not going to want to miss episode 3. We're going to take this one step further. What you have to understand is all beliefs are not equal. And we're going to begin talking about how they really play on our field and get us to the reality that we don't even like anymore, but we don't even know how to change it. Listen, this has been Dr. V. This is episode 2 of season 3. You're not going to want to miss episode 3, and I hope to see you there.